perfect. Oh no, it's not perfect.
What's up?
Oh, the borders are
All
just.
right, well it's fine. We'll keep going. Keep going. We'll start the talking. What's
Okay,
today? What's
yeah,
today's one, Finn? What are we talking about today?
yeah. Well, yeah, you asked me, but well, so you got Laura, of course, your lovely cousin who's done a lot of traveling, I hear.
Yep.
We're all in our early 20s, and it's going to be about traveling and about life as a early 20-year-old person, I guess. Not really sure how specific we're going with that, but that was all the
Uh,
info I got from
yeah.
my
So we're
friend.
just gonna be
So,
doing like a sort of general review on how we view the world as 20, I guess, or young
all right,
20s.
yeah, okay, a little bit philosophical.
Yeah, but I think it's good to have a little deep chat every now and then.
Always, mate, always. You got it
Okay.
lined up,
Yeah, that'll do for
nearly.
now. Perfect.
I actually popped into your stream last week, right at the bit where you were talking about how you knew you were conscious and then you knew what else was going on, and I
Oh,
got
the
very confused. I was
self-awareness.
like, this is yeah, that's the
Yeah,
bit I
I
started
watched
on.
that again today. I tried to explain it, but I couldn't. I'm not gonna try again
Mate,
now. Leave it for another time. But
it was
It
too
was
funny.
like, okay.
Yeah, I literally didn't have a single clue what you're getting on about.
well,
You were describing it as though you felt omniscient, like you could feel everything going on in the world at one time. And I was
it's
just like,
sort.
what?
It's like it's almost like like 8D music, where you have that going around your head. It's almost like
Yeah.
8D thoughts. That's like the best way I can describe it, I think.
So I
It's
didn't
like
mean to get you
multiple
into
levels
that
of
again.
thinking at the same time.
8D thoughts. Oh, God. That's
Um,
too funny.
GG, I'm way too old for this, lol.
Nah, no one's too old for
Don't worry,
this.
Matt, bro. Don't worry. All right. So first off, obviously, Laura, been traveling. Gonna talk about
Yep.
traveling. Um, Personally, I've only done a little bit. Not actual traveling where I'm living in the country for a long time. I think,
What have you done?
well, country wise or just like
Yeah.
lengthwise. Done like a couple European countries, Netherlands, France, obviously. Uh, Malta. That was recent. That's my most recent one, Malta.
You lived in America, didn't you?
True, but I do not have a lot of
Yeah.
memory of
True.
that. I was like
No, probably not. Fair enough.
3, 4 till 7, I believe. So
Mm.
not too much memory.
Yeah, you were young.
Yeah, very. Um, yeah. So
Have you
like,
visited since, though?
yeah. I think it was like 2012, maybe 2013.
You stay for long or just like a couple
Yeah, I
weeks or
feel like
week?
it was like a week or two. Is that not
All
long?
right. No, no, that's pretty like standard holiday time. I was thinking like maybe you stay for like I don't know a month and a bit just to sort of really get a vibe of it. But I guess that's pretty young still. Like maybe if you were 16 or something, you
Yeah,
could have done
yeah.
that. But
Spence, didn't
13,
you go
14.
to Vegas though a couple of years
Oh, of
ago?
course, and Vegas.
Oh
Yeah,
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 oh yeah.
Vegas, 2018.
Not
Uh,
to call you out, but I know you better than yourself.
yeah, literally. That was only for a week as well. But I've never actually like stayed fully in a country, which is like traveling, isn't it? Like for a couple months, let's say.
Mm, yeah.
Obviously, Finn, you haven't either.
No, I've not been on a holiday since 2016. I've got like
Oh my
no
god,
experience
I
traveling.
could not do
I've
that.
only been to France and Barcelona, and I went to America for 2 weeks when I was like 6 as well, actually, and that's it.
That's still a
So,
fair bit, more than some
well,
people.
yeah, but like, I've spent like such a little time outside of the UK, so it's pretty tragic. But
Oh yeah,
I want
yeah,
to know where Laura's been. I want to know like
yeah,
the
yeah,
location.
yeah. Okay.
Um, well, I was in Australia for a year. That was the big one. I
Damn,
came
okay, a
back
whole year.
in I came back in November. So, well, I was actually there for 14 months, I think. So
Damn,
it was
okay.
a good time.
Was that just
Um,
like a? Oh, sorry, you go. Keep going.
no, I had nothing to say. What?
I was just gonna say, how come you? What made you go there? Was it just like a job thing or just traveling thing? And you stayed there.
No. So I went there in 2017 for 2 weeks. So I've got really good family friends out there. And I really, really liked it. It's just really, it's a really good country. It's just great. And so yeah, I wanted to go back out there because
Hmm.
I know a lot of people who've done the working holiday visa. So you kind of go out for 1 year, and then if you want to do a second year, you've got to do 3 months farm work in your first year to be eligible for your second year.
Oh,
So I did farm work as well. So then I can go back out for a year in like a couple years time.
That's so cool. I didn't realize that was how it worked. That's pretty sick.
Is it just farm work?
Yeah.
Is it not like just bar work or construction work as well, right?
So there's two types of visas. So I know the UK and like France are on one of them, and then the other one is the US and a few other countries. And for the UK, you have to do farm work or construction work or building or mining or fishing. Really random.
Jeez. Some-
Um, so it's easier to get farm work, right?
Yeah,
And
of course.
for people in the US and the other visa, you can just do hospitality. So it's really unfair.
What?
So you could just go and work in a pub or a restaurant, kind of in a rural area.
Yeah.
Basically, anywhere that's not a city. So like about an hour out of Melbourne would count. So yeah, I just had to do farm work because I actually did apply for mining jobs and construction jobs, but they
Mm,
probably were like, nah, you aren't qualified.
mining, like in an
And
actual
then-
So
mine as
weird.
well. Like going down the elevator, imagining
So we would
pickaxe.
do mining, so you can no, you can do things that help towards the mining industry. So
Oh, okay.
I don't know what that would be, but I applied for one. I don't remember what it was now. But you get paid really well for them though.
Yeah.
That's also why I applied.
Either way, it's all hands on work, right? It's not like sit back, chill. It's all like full on work with you, like labor work basically.
Yeah, it's not easy. I hated it.
Well, that's because you
Yeah.
get paid like they just sort of abuse you in a way, don't they? Because they take advantage of how like you have to do this to stay in the country, so they pay you
Yeah,
like.
yes.
I'm guessing the pay was bad, right? Like you said.
So it depends what you get. I did 3 different farm works.
Mm.
And I did raspberry picking, which was the worst thing ever, and I'm still triggered every time I see a raspberry. I did pruning as well in a vineyard. That was really bad pay.
Yeah.
Um, and I did I drove a tractor. The tractor driving was like really well paid, but the others weren't. And it's 88 days that you have to do. So people say like 88 days a slave and stuff like that. And I think I was kind of lucky in a way because I had loads of horror stories and like people like farmers treating people badly and exploiting them more than they exploited me or my colleagues. So
Mm.
it wasn't too bad. Like I survived.
Yeah.
What was like sort of the equivalent pay? So like so you said for like the raspberry picking job, like really badly paid. What was there like an equivalent like £4 per hour?
So
Was that the sort of level?
no, so you got paid per planet of raspberries that you did.
Wow. Okay.
And um so like, you'd work so okay, I worked a 12-hour day most days, 12
Oh,
hours, and you got like £50 equivalent of 50, no, not even, yeah, equivalent of about £50 or £40, maybe even 30. It was really not
No.
worth it.
Oh, that's not good.
That's
Yeah. And on
jeez.
the
Damn.
on the vineyards, I always remember I had to prune them, so like cutting the tops off of each little vine, and you're given a row, and each chopping is worth 3 cents, which is 1.5p pennies. So literally pennies you're working
Oh
for.
my god.
It's so demotivating.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
then surely like while you're actually doing the work, you're not actually enjoying any other aspects of the country. You're literally just, 12-hour days. You're not going to have the energy to like go and stay out with your friends, or did you still manage to sort of do stuff on the side to enjoy whilst you were there?
Oh no, farm work's just like doing farm work, and then you're kind of there for the 3 months and then you leave. But
Mm.
so with my first farm work, the raspberries, the accommodation was on the farm, so there was nothing to do really. There was a McDonald's and an Audi. They were the highlights of my week if I went there. But apart from that, like because everyone was so shattered, you would just get up because we had to start work at 6 a.m., finish about
Yeah.
5 or 6, and then everyone was just so tired that you didn't really see anyone after that. But with the vineyard work, it was more like a hostel that I was in, so people would party quite hard on the weekends, on Fridays and Saturdays.
Yeah. That's so
Yeah.
strange. That literally does sound like being a slave, go out in the fields for 12 hours, work until you drop, and then just go back to the accommodation and just sleep.
Yeah,
So
it was a
weird.
bit rough, but I left after 3 weeks because I couldn't hack it.
yeah.
Wait, so did that mean that it like voided the next visa application, or
Mm-mm.
did you just move to a different line of work?
Yeah. So you add all your days up.
Okay, so you went.
You don't have
So
to
you
do it
left
in
the
one go.
Netherlands. All right. Okay, that makes sense.
That's
Mm.
crazy because I had some friends that compete in J. They're from Netherlands. They went to Australia as well. They did construction work, and they were praising
Yeah.
how they were getting paid like vile amount of
Okay.
money, which is
Yeah,
insane.
that's because the construction industry, you get paid quite well there.
Yeah.
Um, I actually did a course. It's like a lollipop lady
Oh
where
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
Mm.
have the stop and go sign.
yeah.
That's really well paid in Australia.
Really?
And I did go on a course. I don't know how much it was, but I went on a 1 day course.
Hmm.
But I just found it really hard to find work. It was quite hard to find farm work, to be honest. So when I got something, I just kind of went for it because I was worried I was going to run out of time.
Yeah.
Understandable.
So when you go out there, like the way you go about finding work, is there a platform or are the people who are there to help you like find these routes, or are you literally just left to fend for yourself, like handing in, like just going door to door, basically? Is that the kind of process?
Do you mean with farm work?
Yeah.
There's loads of Facebook groups. So that's how I got both of my jobs, I think. Yeah, both of them actually. And then
Okay.
the middle one, the tractor driving, I have a friend in Australia and it was a really weird connection, but her dad worked with the farmer's brother-in-law, so he got me a job, which was really lucky because the farmer was so lovely. But yeah, it can be really hard. Like I was actually looking from January, and then I got my first job in March, um, and then yeah, it's just kind of awkward as well because when you apply for a job and they say yeah you can come, they want you there the next day basically. So you've got to make sure that you're kind of free to go.
Yeah. So it's a
Jeez.
pretty like intense atmosphere.
Yeah, you literally kind of. One day I was with my friends, and the next I was like, okay, I'm gonna leave tomorrow. They were like, what? And I was like, yeah, I'll see you in about 4 weeks. So it's a
Damn.
bit rough, but yeah, you got to do it.
Yeah, it's the price to pay for staying in a nice country, I guess.
Yeah. I won't do it again though. They recently introduced, like in July last year, they introduced if you want to do a third year, you can do 6 months of farm work. But no, I would not.
6 months.
6 months.
6 months.
Oh,
Oh,
No. It's honestly not worth it.
jeez.
that's not ideal. Would you ever think? Do you think you'd like to like live there in the future, or were you just sort of a fan of visiting and sort of staying there as
Nah,
a
I could
traveler?
definitely live there. I really like it.
Yeah.
It's just yeah, it's just really nice. I don't know where I would live in Australia. There's a few places that I really like, but just the lifestyle I really like. So I definitely live there. My mum actually thought I wasn't gonna come back, but I
Damn.
did.
Wait, where actually in there did you go?
I was living in Melbourne, but
Oh yeah.
the farms were in 3 different states. So because Australia is so big, it's basically like going to another country to get to your farm work. Like I had to take a
Damn.
plane, and then I had to take I think for one of them I took a 4 hour train and then a 8 hour bus or something. It's quite long.
Seriously.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's a proper like moving. It's like moving to another country for work that you hate.
Yeah. Sounds really exciting. I'm really sold
Yeah.
on this now.
Yeah, definitely go. No, I don't want to put you off. You should, if you're
Nah,
gonna
to be fair,
go,
I would.
then
It was never on the cards, so don't not worried.
okay, that's all right.
Well,
Spence, you could
yeah, just in general, you didn't start in Australia, did you? You made your way to Australia. So you,
go. Oh yeah, I had like 3 weeks traveling. Um, so I went to Singapore for 2 days. It wasn't very long. I was there for 2 nights, I think. And then I was in Kuala Lumpur, which is in Malaysia. I was there for 2 days as well. And then I was in Indonesia for 2 weeks.
that's crazy. Or just let's say like we have people in the stream that have never been traveling. Like cost wise, obviously that comes into effect. How cheap was it within those 3 weeks? How much did you spend from going from
Oh,
like, all those different places?
Um,
Like average, roughly.
not too much because okay, I'll try and think, but not too much because I mean they're quite affordable countries. Singapore is as affordable as Australia, so that's kind of like the UK.
Yeah.
But Malaysia and Indonesia are incredibly cheap. So
Okay. Yeah.
I would say definitely less than £500,
Really?
I
For
think.
for 3 weeks? That's not too
Yes.
bad, to be fair. Yeah. But how, did you
That's,
fly as
Like,
that's
well?
really good.
Did you fly to each countries, or did you take like
yeah,
different?
I'm actually quite good at finding cheap flights. So we got a flight from London to Singapore for like £200 or something, including luggage.
Wow. Okay.
And then we took a bus from Singapore to Malaysia, and then I think it was a plane from Malaysia to Jakarta, which is the capital of Indonesia.
Not bad. Not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Um.
actually way cheaper than I thought.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, I can't really eat much because Spence, I have loads of dietary problems. So
Yeah.
I was eating like rice, which is very cheap, or crisps. But if you actually wanted to eat properly, then you'd probably spend a bit more.
Yeah.
Understandable.
Damn.
So in terms
Well,
of, let's say, just getting prepared for traveling, what would you recommend for people that have never done it before? So what's like one thing that you sort of noticed or learned along the way that would help someone that's like completely new to this sort of topic?
definitely save up enough money so you're not stressed about having to pay for things or wanting to do extra activities. Um, I actually saved a lot of money before I went, and I annoyed myself thinking back because I could have done more things than I did because at the time I was like, oh no, I need loads of money for Australia. But in hindsight, I should have just enjoyed myself a bit more in like Bali and Indonesia.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely save money and probably budget as well. Um, and wait, what was the question?
Just in terms like
What?
so, what have you learned from traveling? As in, like, how can someone, if someone's about to do some traveling, what's sort of tips that you'd give them to improve their experience?
Okay. Oh God. Tell me what you think,
Well, because
and
from
then I'll
from
tell
someone
you.
who hasn't personally traveled that much, when instantly I think, oh, this can be really expensive. And I'm talking like 9K for a year living in another country. Is that roughly right?
Without working or with working?
Without working, is that even not even enough?
Uh,
I guess it is.
if
Depends on
you're
what
not doing loads of,
countries.
yeah, it depends what country. Like, if you're not doing loads of activities
Yep.
or going out a lot, then maybe if you budget well. But you find that when you're out there, you go partying quite a lot,
Yeah.
and
Understandable. Yeah.
that can be expensive.
Okay.
But yeah, I guess that would be okay. You might want a bit more though, like maybe
Really? So we're
the
talking like five
whole year.
figures.
If you're not working,
Yeah.
then yeah, things gonna be kind of more
So
expensive.
would you recommend working to someone that's never done it before to get work abroad in
Yeah,
these
for
one of these
sure.
countries?
Yep. If but have you heard of Workaway?
I have not heard of work right now.
That's what I did in Canada at that time. When I went for 5 weeks, I volunteered at a hostel, and you get like accommodation free, and then breakfast. Sometimes
Oh.
not breakfast. Sometimes all your meals are paid for as well. Um, and that's a good way to travel as well because you get accommodation, and you work like up to 24 hours a week doing random things. Like you could be in a hostel, or you could be kind of like gardening or looking after children, and then the rest of your time is free to just travel.
Gee.
So
Yeah.
that's another way you can do it as well.
Yeah, that sounds not bad. Yeah, so you would recommend someone working when they're out there or wherever they are in any
Okay,
country.
if we're talking about Australia, then yeah, definitely like the working holiday visa is really good.
Yeah, so what
Um,
about any
some of
countries in Asia at all?
Asia, okay, I probably wouldn't work in Asia to be honest. I
Yeah,
would just because it is quite cheap, like really, really cheap compared to the UK.
really, because
Yeah, I mean even hostels, I think we got one for like £9 a night, or if that, maybe like £7 a night. You can get really cheap ones,
Jeez.
that is
Literally
and
nuts.
the
just like,
food's like next to nothing, and then the drinks are really cheap as well if you're gonna go out.
That is
Um,
nuts.
it's just like trips can be expensive. So I went to on a mountain on I went to a mountain on a sunrise tour, and that was I don't think that was too expensive actually, but it's just like obviously the more trips you do and the more activities you do, then it does add up.
Yeah, makes
So
sense. Yeah.
just have to be mindful. And like for example, I had to pick certain ones that I wanted to do and then miss out a few because well, like I said before, I was freaking out about money slightly, but when I was in Indonesia, so I didn't go to this other mountain that I wanted to go to. which I probably should have done. But at the same time, I also think I can come here again if I want to. So I don't stress too much about um, not doing things like all the time.
Yeah, makes sense. Unless there's a pandemic, obviously.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Do you have any like horror stories from when you were traveling? Any like really standout stories, like bad things that have happened? Just
Um,
or did it all go pretty smooth?
sorry, I've got really. Hang on, here we are. Horror stories. I mean, farm work is enough. That was like the worst ever. Um, yeah, farm work was not okay. Um, I don't think there was a time where I was like really scared to be out there. Um,
Or like nothing went
I,
wrong, like missing flights or just being in some place you didn't want to be or that stuff like that.
it's not really a horror story, but there's a story. When I was in this place called Yogyakarta in Indonesia, there was this mountain that I wanted to go up because I had seen pictures and it just looked really nice. So I took two of my friends, well, a friend and then a guy that we met up there, and we kind of went late in the evening because you can get better pictures of the city lights if you go in the evening.
Yeah.
So but we didn't. So we got it's called a Grab in Asia. Grab is like Uber basically, but super cheap. So we got one of them up to the mountain, and he dropped us off and then left. And then we spent maybe an hour or two on this mountain just walking around and getting photos. And
Yeah.
by the time we're done and we wanted to go back down the mountain to our hostel, it was getting really dark and there was no taxis or anything because they weren't going to come up with no one in them to come down again.
Yeah.
So we were kind of panicking because we were just stuck on this mountain, maybe half an hour from our hostel, like half an hour driving. And we also, people weren't really good at speaking English. So we were trying to explain that we wanted to get down and we didn't know how. But and we kept asking these people who had cars, we were like, could you drive us and we pay you? But I think they laughed at us actually. They were like, oh, stupid tourists getting stuck up here. But in the end, one of the guys we asked knocked on this woman's car door window and said something in Indonesian. I don't know what their country language is, but in Indonesian. And so bless her, she took us down to our hostel, and she didn't let us pay of anything, but she wanted a picture with us.
No
So
way.
we were like, "Oh, can we pay you, please? How much can we give you?" And she was like, "No, it's okay, just like selfie." And I was like, "Okay." So yeah, on it, she would not let us pay her. She just wanted a
That's so
picture.
weird.
So
So that
that's
was slightly stressful, but nothing crazy.
so that was caused
Yeah.
by sort of like not speaking the language. So if you were able to
Yeah,
speak,
yeah, that's. I've actually, yeah, no. Thinking about when I was in Japan, that was awkward with not speaking obviously Japanese and Japanese people not really speaking English.
yeah,
So there was one particular time where I was at a restaurant and I'm allergic to fish, and the Japanese love fish, don't
yeah.
they? And
Yeah.
I was trying to explain that I couldn't have fish, but they didn't understand me. And I spoke to one chef, and he put some sauce in my noodles, I think it was, and I said, "Oh, what's that?" He said, I think he said fish, or he pointed to a fish, and I was like, "Oh no, no fish." And I was trying to do hand signals, and then he was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "No fish, like kills me, whatever." And he was like, "Oh my god!" And so he got another chef, who then didn't understand me, and then two other chefs came along. Meanwhile, the restaurant is like quieting down and watching me, and then there's a queue behind me, and
No.
I was really really stressed. But he'd made up this food already with the fish broth, and I was with a friend at the time who gets stressed really easily, and she was like, "Can we please leave? Like this is awful." And we just sort of stood there for about 5 minutes trying to explain that I couldn't eat fish, and in the end we just left because it was too awkward. But I felt
Jeez.
bad because it made me food.
Yeah.
That was a very tough time.
That's definitely a fear of mine, man. If you go to a country and you just don't understand enough of the language, just I feel like you get in such strange situations and such awkward situations so easily.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
that's crazy. I mean, when I went to Barcelona, I had a sort of similar story where obviously I couldn't speak Spanish, and I went
Mm.
with obviously like Herbie
I swear
Dylan.
they speak Catalan and that, don't they?
Oh
'Cause
yeah, they
I
do.
tried
You're
to
right.
speak,
Yeah,
I tried speaking Spanish when I went there, and then I was like, oh, hold on, they don't even
yeah, they
speak
speak a
Spanish,
bit
they
of
speak
both, but
Catalan.
mainly Catalan.
Yeah.
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 So I obviously went, and it was like we obviously went clubbing, and it was around 4
Obviously.
a.m. And me and Diogo thought, what's the best thing to do at 4 a.m.? Get Mackies.
Oh.
And so I remember me and Diego walked about 30 minutes down the beach to the nearest Mackey that was the only one open. And we get there, and it turns out it's only the drive-through that's open. So we obviously, what we do is we go up to the window and say, "Oh, can we order?" We're just standing. There's cars behind us, and they're like, they can understand us. Like, can we order? Like, no. We're like, okay. So obviously you weren't allowed to order. So what me and Diego did was every car we went behind, we would knocked on the window, or they had like those, those cycling bikes where someone's in the front and you're sat in the back and they're cycling. What do they
Like a
call?
Yeah.
tuk-tuk.
Yeah, probably, yeah. So we went up to them and we asked, like, begging them, like, oh, can you order some food, please? We're hungry. And no one spoke English. First, like, 3 people, nope. Then this guy understood me, because I got my phone out, Google translated all of it, and he's like, oh yeah, and obviously went asked, and they said,
Yeah.
they said no, because they saw that it was us trying to order again. They wouldn't let us.
Oh, really?
So then we finally found this legend, and he spoke English, Spanish, and Mexican, and he just translated
Like
everything for us.
Mexican. Sorry, is that a language?
Mexican.
They speak Spanish.
Oh yeah. No. Cut that. He spoke. Let me rephrase it. It was English,
Mexican.
Spanish, and it was
That's
another
too
language,
much.
and I can't remember it now.
Portuguese, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably,
maybe.
yeah. Uh,
Just out here
I'm
making
so-
up languages.
Oh, so sorry. He was Mexican. That's why he was Mexican.
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
I have a picture of him. So me and Diego, we talked to him, and he was like,
Did
"Oh,
you
mate,
go
no
and him speak
worries."
in Portuguese?
I think they did. Yeah. We got to ask Diego. We got to bring him on. But so we obviously
Mm.
went to all this effort. Yeah, just been about an hour, by the way. It's around nearly 6 a.m. now. He goes to the window, speaks pure, brilliant, fluent Spanish. And he has like a little argument with them because obviously he's not. He's got out of his car to walk to it, and comes back saying, "Sorry, they're just not serving us." All of that for nothing. But like, I think the point I'm trying to get is when you go to a country and don't know the foreign language, it sort of creates these unique experiences that you wouldn't ever get like in your own country. Like it sort of pushes you out your comfort
Yeah.
zone. Because like
It's a
me,
different type of fear, isn't it? As
literally,
well, you're
because
like, oh my god, I
me and
can't
Diego were like,
communicate.
we don't know what's going on. Like Diego sort of understands Spanish because it's similar to Portuguese, but sort of having that experience was sort of comical in a way because we were both drunk as
Mm.
well. We were really drunk, and it just made like the whole night more fun. Because
I
we
was
were,
gonna ask that.
yeah,
That
we were
might be
really
why
drunk.
they turned you away.
But we were
Yeah, I think
so
it might.
hungry. We were
If there were
starving.
two British boys like walking into the drive-through begging the customers to like buy them food, they'd probably think, "Oh,
Just
fucking
imagine
hell,
like there
mate."
was genuinely like 4 or 5 cars just waiting to get in. We're just standing there ordering food. That's my
Oh,
only sort of story
That's
with like the
yeah.
oh no, I've gone blurry. Where like not knowing the language sort of messed me up.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that's a big fear of people that do go traveling, whether they do need to learn the language or not. Because
I think a few words would help. Actually, my friend who studied Japanese as a degree did give me some cards, which I didn't use in this situation, which said I can't have fish. And I did think of using them, but I was too stressed and I was like, I need to go. So I did have some cue cards that I definitely could have used, but I just didn't.
See, I think something like that would be such a useful. Like if you could sort of prepare a little bit of something. If you know where you're going, just you could have like a little set of cue cards for whichever destination you're going to. Like go through open the folder and go through like, oh, here we go, Japanese. Just show them whatever you need to go. And they're just like, all right, cool.
You know, it's also good is just going with someone who speaks the language.
exactly, yeah, I was gonna say
That's got even better. Yeah.
perfect.
Because they can do it for you.
Yeah. But Google Translate saved me, so I do recommend Google Translate. Sort of, I let him go on my
Yeah,
phone. He typed it all
actually.
in Spanish and translated to English. Perfect.
But now you can download the language, and if you want, like, if you're at a shop and it's foreign, like a foreign language, you can just scan it, and
Oh
then
yeah,
it
that's
comes up in English, which I did in Japan, which helped me a lot.
yes, it's
That's pretty
nuts.
sick.
So yeah, technology does
So, yeah.
does save you.
It does.
Definitely, mate. Are
Uh,
there any like destinations, Laura, that are on your bucket list that you haven't been to yet, or have you visited them all?
No, I've got loads. I'm actually going to do a working holiday visa in Canada in the next like 2 years, or next year and a half, I think. It's good in Canada though because you can just do like 2 years straight up. You don't have to do farm work or anything annoying.
That's
So
sick.
that's more flexible. But I think like to live in that country in Canada, and I'm going whenever this all passes. I'm going to live in France for a little bit to learn French.
Mm.
Um, and then maybe I'll go to Spain to learn Spanish or something, or maybe South America. I'm not sure yet. And then back to Australia.
That'd be sick. Do you
So I
want to
have
go?
a
So you're
few
gonna go
like
back to
ideas.
Australia for the last year, or?
Yeah. But I don't know when I'll go back then. It's like kind of all I need to decide is when to do in which country in which order.
Yeah,
So yeah.
plan out a route. And
Mm.
Spencer, are there any
Yes, just to
countries
sort of
that
link
are
it.
on your bucket list?
Oh yeah. Bucket list wise, I definitely do want to visit. Australia is definitely a big one. Um, oh, that awesome place, somewhere in Indonesia. It's got
Bali. You're gonna
yeah,
say
probably
Bali.
Bali or like Bora Bora. They're pretty awesome places. Um,
Okay, Bora Bora's in the that's in the Mal like no, is that in the Maldives? No,
I
it's
think
not.
it's like a tropical island.
yeah,
I
it's
think.
definitely
It is,
tropical. Yeah,
yeah.
that's that sort of
With the huts.
yeah. Also want
Yeah.
to go to South America because I think I want to experience sort of like the classic like jungles and stuff like that. That seems pretty cool. That climate is a lot warmer as well. Want to see
A little bit.
want to
Where
experience.
in South America though? Because there's quite a lot of variation. I feel.
I mean, what isn't Chile the one that's on the coast? One of the coasts? Like go run
Yeah,
along the
the
whole
Yeah.
west
coast.
coast.
Go there. Argentina. Um,
Yeah,
I don't know about Brazil. I'm quite wary of Brazil because obviously they've a lot of gang violence there, don't they? Especially in the capital.
yeah.
In their favelas and
Well, I think
stuff.
I don't know. Isn't I think because Rio's quite bad, but I'm not sure about. I've not actually heard anything about Brasilia, like what it's like.
Oh, true. Yeah,
But
it's always just Rio. Rio. Um,
yeah,
obviously we had the Olympics there, didn't we? The 2016,
Yeah.
and seemed pretty
Yeah.
good. But yeah, just a lot of gang issues and stuff. But I shouldn't let that put me off.
But
But
you
I'm
get
wary
that
of it.
anywhere though. Like,
Yeah, true.
yeah.
But I feel like it's a lot worse there than here because obviously guns are they just seem
okay,
to not care.
compared to here, yeah, but I mean, I don't know, because you always hear, for example, when there's been a terrorist attack in London or something, people kind of try and put you off from going there, but it could happen anywhere in the world.
Oh no,
So
of course, yeah.
even though there's violence in that country, it doesn't mean you're gonna get attacked. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it should put you off, is what I'm trying to say.
No, agreed. But I mean, America. I don't want to go to America mainly because of their sort of gun laws and stuff as well. That sort of puts me off a bit.
Yeah,
I know
like
it shouldn't, but it's just always negative whenever I look at America. I don't really get like, even though I've lived there, I don't really rate it as a country.
I really want to go there.
No, I think
don't play with dad.
I feel like I've already told him, but just like even Vegas is really good because that's like nothing you'll ever experience anywhere in the world. That's
I
just
don't know.
so weird.
Vegas is probably one of the places I don't want to go. It just
Really,
looks so
it's so cool.
insane.
Like you're in the desert and then there's just a city. Like that's so cool.
Yeah, but
That's
it's
so
such like a
cool.
seedy place, man.
Oh yeah, it's really weird. You get like people walking around trying to advertise their strip clubs. Always, you get like strippers walking around. You get people dressed up in outfits. Got obviously like the mini Eiffel Tower there, mini London
Yeah,
Eye there. Uh,
all the people going and spending like
so
literally
much in the
thousands on the
casinos, obviously. Yeah.
weekends. It's just crazy. Like I can't believe people just go out and do that as like a hobby. They're like, oh yeah, I'm having a weekend away, and then they come back 50 grand down. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like Spence would do something like that.
Yeah,
100%.
I could
Yeah.
definitely see that
Yeah.
happening.
Uh, Denmark as well. Actually, Denmark I do want to visit. Apparently, New
Yeah, you're
Orleans
just
and
pulling that
Orlando are
crush.
good.
Yeah,
New
I'd like to
Orleans,
see New
I've
Orleans,
heard. Yeah, I've heard that's a good time.
and I really want to go to Texas. I'm not really sure why. I just sort of have a weird thing. Texas, West Virginia. I don't know.
Oh, I've been there. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah, I used
I
to live
have
there.
too, I
Wait.
Wait, was that
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, you never told
Wait.
me that.
Where's? Well, it's just called Virginia, isn't it? I'm guessing West is to the left.
No, but the West Virginia's because take me home.
Oh
Country
yeah.
roads.
Okay. Yeah. No, but yeah, I've been there. Yeah. Well, I used to
Yeah,
live in
that
Virginia.
looks it. Is it pretty?
Bro, I more remember it's just like sort of like a bland sort of count, or, I guess state. Like it's just
Really?
Yeah, it's just green trees everywhere.
Wait, Spence, do you remember when we went to that cabin in the woods?
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
West Virginia, I think.
That was cool. I think in terms of like freedom you get in America is pretty cool. Like we just like went woods. We had like quad bikes, just driving them through the forest. That was cool. I mean, we
Really?
weren't driving. Yeah, I was on the back. I
That's
remember I was on the
sick.
back.
Yeah, that was a good time.
And that, but the only scary thing is obviously like they have a lot of wild animals, don't they? You know, you got wolves, bears.
Cougars and shit.
Yeah, and that's nothing. You don't have to worry about that here. Like if you want to go wild camping, let's go. But over there, it's
Yeah.
quite scary.
Yeah, around here it's just like badgers. You're like you gotta
Oh,
watch
yeah.
out for them badgers. But around there you're like there's an actual fucking bear outside the tent. You're just like, all right.
Yeah, yeah.
But I still like to go. Like it's pretty cool. Like the look I like the look of the sort of the massive forests and national parks they have around there. You have they have all those trails with all their park rangers. They set out a trail for you and you spend like 2 or 3 days following a trail. Oh, that looks pretty interesting.
Yeah, true.
Looks pretty sick. You get to see a few natural sites that look interesting. So I think it should be a little bit different from like just going to the big bustling cities. Even though I would also like to go there, like New York, I've never been. I
Yeah.
want to go and see that. But it's just something a little bit more nature sided.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. I mean, cities, I agree with you. I'll pop into them, but I prefer to sort of experience like the nature sort of side of America. That's not really talked about as much.
Yeah.
Like the
Um,
canyons.
yeah, the Grand Canyons and stuff like that. That's
And
awesome.
in Arizona, there's this one canyon. I forgot what it's called, but Anita and Greg went there, Spence, and it just looks amazing. Like you just go in like small little bits and you walk
Really?
through them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's something that's awesome as well. So
it
also,
just looks stunning.
also that Yosemite, isn't that volcano?
Yosemite.
Yosemite, yeah, that's. Isn't that a national
Yosemite.
park?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Is that a big volcano, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Or am I thinking of the wrong
Uh,
thing?
I think it, no, I think it
Yeah,
is.
the
I think it's
massive,
the
like the
volcanic.
super volcano.
Yeah, I think so. I
Wait,
think
hold
it
on.
is, isn't
Apparently
it?
not.
Is it not?
no.
Oh, Norway, true, is a good one as well to see the Northern Lights. Never thought of that actually. That must be awesome.
Yeah. Well, oh no, we're getting confused with Yellowstone.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Never mind.
What's Yosemite then? Sorry.
Yosemite.
Oh shit.
Yosemite. Okay. It is. I'll tell you. It's a U.S. national park in in California. I didn't know it was in California.
Wow, look
In
at
the
that.
Sierra
That is
Nevada
awesome.
mountains.
Yeah, so you
Oh, that's
don't.
another place. I want to go Death Valley. I want to go Death Valley.
Where's that?
I think that's in. I think that is in California.
Wow.
I'm
You should...
not entirely sure. Yeah, it's like a desert valley in California, and it's got like I think it was, yeah, it's like one of the hottest places in the world, like along with some of the desert, like on par with like Middle Eastern deserts. So like crazy, crazy
Jeez. Yeah,
temperatures,
yeah.
and like it's Death Valley because like nothing can like sustain there apart from like, a few specialized organisms. So it's just sort of barren, but you can
That's
like drive through
crazy.
on the road. It looks pretty sick. Like the kind of place you could sort of just drive through at night on a motorbike. Sounds pretty sick. But yeah,
That's
bit
mad.
That would
dangerous
stress
perhaps.
me out, I think.
What?
I think it would, but like, because you're also thinking like, oh shit, am I going to make it to the next place that has food, water, and petrol, or am I
Mhm.
literally just going to die in the desert? But then I guess like part of the excitement, impending
True.
death could spice it up a bit.
Mad. Well, just to link it into the next topic, do you think traveling should be done at a younger age or a more older age? Because obviously most people, I say that sort of the general idea and view on traveling is do it like while you're young. That's sort of the whole mantra if you want to say.
Are you asking me?
Or just anyone, like, what are you guys' opinions on that sort of mantra and saying? Do you agree with it or?
I think yes, because for example, in hostels, like hostel culture, it's very kind of young people and it's a young vibe
Yeah.
and quite like a few hostels are quite party. Um, and I have been to a few hostels where there are older people, and I just feel like not in a mean way, but they just kind of don't fit in as well.
Understandable, yeah.
So definitely personally anyway, like I would rather travel while I was younger, especially in hostels and stuff, because I feel like when you travel when you're older, it's a different vibe, if you want.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean.
Yeah,
So but also, with the working holiday visas, they're kind of capped at 30 or 31. So you have to do it between 18 and 31 anyway.
Wow. Okay.
Wait, so you can't? There's no option if you're older, if you're outside the bracket.
They've been extending it, like for Canadians and Irish people in Australia. To do a holiday visa in Australia, you can be up to 35, I think now. But for everyone else, it's up to 30 or 31.
That's
Damn, that's
crazy.
weird.
That is
It's
weird.
strange they put a cap on it. Yeah.
But yeah.
I think they're sort of trying to promote like they only want people that are of value of them to that country. They're really strict with their border control.
Mm.
Like if you're not
Mm.
valuable to that country, they want you out, which is fair enough. Like it's quite strict though. Yeah. I mean, not as strict as what North Korea, right?
Yeah, I don't
Well,
think
you're
anything
not
is
allowed
quite as
in.
strict.
Yeah. Not allowed in or
No,
out.
I definitely think
too bad.
that traveling should be done at like a young age. If you're gonna do like a proper whole traveling like Laura's done, going places for a long time, I think it should be, because I think there's a lot of opportunity for like development and like maturing and understanding more about the world as a person, and sort of fine tuning your character. Like as someone who hasn't been traveling, um, thought I didn't for like a long time, but like only recently I've sort of realized I want to do a lot more. I've sort of like, especially since going uni, because I think it was initially it's just this idea of staying in your comfort zone and sort of sticking with what you know and what you think you enjoy. But then as soon as you sort of go out your comfort zone and suddenly you're on your own and you're sort of dealing with different scenarios and living in a different way, you realize the potential for sort of stuff you can do and the people you can meet and experiences you can have. So I definitely like would way more, way like really excited to go and see what sort of stuff I could do by just traveling now. I feel like that sort of just opened the door for me, and it's definitely something that I want to do.
Actually, adding to that, I have a lot of friends who are kind of older, and my mum's friends as well. And they say to me, I wish I did more traveling when I was younger. That would be the one thing that most people regret. So I think, yeah, travel while you're young.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot too. So I just want to make sure, like, even if I'm like not, even if I wasn't super excited for it, I was really nervous, I still want to force myself, because I think it's always like you're gonna have stories that you can look back on in like decades, and you're thinking, I'm so glad I did that, rather than like staying inside and getting a job for like an extra year. Like you can always get a job, but you're not always going to be able to go out and travel. Like stuff is going to change and your situation is going to change. So if you've got the opportunity, I think it's something that's definitely worth doing.
Hmm.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I think traveling while you're young, just while you're able to like move so fluidly, like I don't think we realize, obviously we're all young, like how hard it gets to like move your whole body. Your body just becomes older, everything becomes more of a struggle. So I think making the most of like when you're in your prime, like we're not even in our prime yet, but like getting there, it's just making the most of it. Uh,
But also, when you're not tied down, because a lot of my friends are
exactly,
like,
yeah.
oh, I would travel, but I've got a boyfriend or a girlfriend. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, bring them with you or just leave them behind. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Do they not want
But
to travel with them?
I don't know. People have different, I don't know, different things that they want to do with their lives, don't they?
Yeah.
But
True.
Yeah, no, that's true.
I yeah, I quite like being single because then I can just do what I want when I want and go where I want without having to consult someone else.
Do you always
Um,
travel alone then?
I prefer to travel alone actually because yeah, you can just do what you want on your own terms.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find that when I'm traveling with someone, which it can be fun. Like to be fair, it can be quite lonely when you're on your own. But oh my god, my brother's singing. Michael, please stop. Okay. Um, what was I saying? Um, Spence, what was I saying?
Traveling alone is a bit lonely.
Oh yeah, okay. So but I definitely prefer just traveling on my own because it's just easier. It's less stressful.
Really? So
Yeah.
I'd get more scared if I travel alone. Obviously, because I'm not
Yeah,
experienced in
same.
that. I'd think like I'd rather do it with a couple of people or with someone that I know, just to get
100%
used to
Yeah,
it,
same.
but
like
when you
familiarity.
get out there, like I keep talking about hostels, but hostels are a great way to meet people. When you go to hostels, there are so many other people who are on their own. You just kind of click with them and then go on day trips with them, and then yeah,
Yeah,
maybe never see them again, but you've gone on a little trip with them and you're
that's
not on your own,
crazy.
sort of
That's
thing.
like
Yeah.
that's what I could feel myself like. That's like, giving me like butterflies in my stomach. Like that's proper out my comfort zone. Like going into a whole new country on your ones to all these new
Yeah.
people. That's that's like
It's
next level.
fun.
I think it's
No, I
fun,
love that.
but that's like the pushing you to do that is like the hardest thing I think. But I reckon
Yeah,
it'd be a lot like the value you'd get from that and life experience
I,
is monumental.
yeah. I
Yeah,
think
you
for like
learn a lot.
yeah, I think for people like us, Spencer, like it would definitely be that first go would be like super nerve wracking
Yeah.
and you'd be properly out the comfort zone. But I think it is just like one of those things you're always like, oh, you put it off because you're just nervous about it or you think it's going to be bad. But then as soon as it happens, you're like, oh, I'm so glad I did this. And like Laura's obviously done it so many times now and could just sort of see the value of it and just makes me want to give it a go, even though I definitely want to even though I'm like, oh, maybe I should just like go with a friend or whatever. Maybe it is just like better to sort of try and experience stuff by yourself and really put yeah, like if you're gonna go out the comfort zone, you might as well go all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, there have been times where I was on the plane thinking, "Is this a good idea?" But it's a bit too late then, so you just sort
Yeah,
of go with it.
you just gotta force
That's
yourself.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'll bring you to Oz with me though, Spence. You can come.
I'm happy to come. I'll do some construction. Knock some
Yeah,
buildings down.
Mate, we'll get you down the mines.
Get me down the mines. Let me
Get
get
you
that
down the
iron ore,
mines.
bro. I'll get them iron ores. I'll find them diamonds.
I reckon you'd enjoy that too much, you know.
I could become like one with the locals.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Aborigines
never
are
come
also there,
back.
aren't they? Yeah, I'll join the Aborigine tribes.
I don't
Really?
know if I'd welcome you, but you could
Okay.
try.
I'll bring them like
Yeah, yeah.
diamonds and be like, let's go.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
We'll
Make
see how that goes.
gifts.
We'll see how that goes. Yeah, so just linking into moving off a bit of traveling. So obviously we're all like in our young 20s. I just wanted to get your view on sort of the world from, let's say, in our parents' day and age when they were growing up, it was more forced, or not forced, but viewed to settle down by, let's say, like 25. And by settle down I mean like married, even kids at 25. And to me that
Hmm.
sounds like ludicrous. Like I can't.
Terrifying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one because it means like I've got 4.5 years left to do whatever I want, which is weird. And two, like, well, it's just mean like, where's my freedom gone, you know? And it sort of puts like pressure on you in a way, because obviously your parents and all and stuff went sort of through that, and now you're sort of expected to do the same. But I think in our generation, it's slowly changing and evolving out of that. Just want to get your opinions
Yeah.
on what you think on that.
Finn, you go.
All right. Well, I mean, I personally am not like a fan of that at all.
Yeah.
Like, look into the future. Like, it's funny because I was talking to my house. So I live with 9 other people. And when I was talking, we just sort of were chatting one night about like whether we want kids, what we want to do in the future. So every single person in my housemate was in my house was just like, yeah, I want kids. Like, not right now, but like 30s, like late, like early to mid 30s. I want kids, and I want to family, settle down somewhere in the UK. Like most of them wanted to like stay in the UK, and I was just thinking that's crazy. Like I don't I right now like I'm ready. I'm understand that my perspective might change, but right now I have zero interest in getting married, zero interest in having children. Like I'm open to the idea of meeting someone, and obviously everyone wants to have love, but I don't understand the idea of marriage. Like it's just sort of like an extra pay. It's like a paywall by the government. Like it's just like, oh yeah, just get married so you can just sort of have more like legal sort of ties to each other. Like why add that in? Why pay like so much money? I can understand like as a grand gesture of love, but that's never really sort of appealed to me. And then the whole child thing, like you said, Spence, it's just sort of it's scary. Like you're tying yourself down, you're committing yourself to like caring for other human beings. And that's so much responsibility. Because what if like you think you're ready and then they come along and suddenly like, shit, I'm not ready, and then you can't sort of give yourself fully to these children if you sort of failed them. It's like
Yeah.
that's scary as hell. That's
Yeah.
scary as
That's
hell.
why you see so many divorce. Like the divorce rate right now must be so high. I feel like I saw a
It's
stat,
pretty high.
especially in America, it's like 60%, something ridiculous. And like
Yeah.
I think it's because of this reason, where people are jumping into relationships or just like these sort of old-fashioned ideas and that are pushed upon us, and not like properly like judging themselves and the person they're with. So they're jumping in full force, obviously get sort of being forced to or pressured to, and then they end up regretting it, get divorced. Then the children have no proper like family, it's a bit dysfunctional, and just ends up
Mm,
hurting people in the end. And
massively.
I think it's due to social media as well. I think social media has helped us sort of get a view in everyone else's sort of perspective as well, and expand our minds a bit. Doesn't have to limit to
Yeah,
us. Yeah,
I think it opens up people's minds for sure.
yeah, 100%. Well, what do you think,
Because
Because
there's so
Laura?
much more information.
Yeah.
I think also it depends on how you grow up because I mean what you're saying about getting married and having children by 25. I was working with three women who were married and had like one or two children by 23 or 24.
Wow.
But then compare that to my mum who had me and my brother at 38 and 39. So I think it's kind of how I grew up as well, like because I know she really enjoyed her 20s and 30s without children, and so I quite like that as well. And I don't really want children anyway, to be honest. But I'm kind of just using my 20s to travel and learn things, um, and do what I want before I don't know, and see what the 30s entail.
Yeah, so do you view like age as in like 20 to 30? Do you view that as a certain sort of like sector in your life in a way? So do you like plan like your whole sort of 10 years on what you're gonna do roughly in a way?
It does sound like that. No. So what I'm saying is that I want to make sure that I travel a lot in my 20s and kind of have loads of experiences. I guess before maybe I find a career or like a proper job. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, I understand that.
Because right now, um, I quite like moving from place to place. So I kind of spend a year in one country, then go to another for 6 months, and back to another for 1 year or something. Um, but yeah, I have a friend who actually is one of the main inspirations for me traveling, and she's like 34 or something, and she's been traveling on and off since she was about 18, like literally just traveling the world. She used to work on
Um,
super yachts, and she used to work in ski shires and things like that. And she's 34 and just still enjoying herself. So I don't know what I mean. I don't know what I'm doing next year. I'm not planning ahead as such, but I have just like ideas in my head. You know?
Yeah.
yeah, I think that sounds nice. Like not setting yourself out this really strict sort of path you have to follow, but having like a vague idea of what you want to do and not being sort of boxed into any one idea, but then having that sort of role model as a friend who's sort of gone through so many years enjoying herself. And it's sort of like sort of reassuring to have that, so you know that what you're doing right now isn't going to end in some sort of catastrophic failure. If you're having fun and you're enjoying life, like that's the best thing you could be doing. So that sounds actually like pretty ideal.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know, I have lots of friends as well at the moment who've finished uni and they're in jobs which are kind of, I guess, what they want to be in, and they're working their way up the ladder. But that also, I find that a bit boring because it's like, what are you going to do when you're 30 though? Because I feel like they're rushing a little bit and they're sort of getting too high. I don't know. Does this make sense? Too high in their jobs, and then they'll sort of plateau at one point and think, oh, what's next? You
100%
Yeah,
know?
I
agree.
get that.
100%.
I get that. I'm like, I have the same sort of fear because like right now I'm like, so second year I've got a job, third year, and then fourth year I finished the degree, and like
Mm-hmm.
right after that. So the whole point of so after next year, the idea of it is that hopefully this company I'm working with will offer me a job for after the degree. But like I've been thinking over the last year, like now I'm thinking, oh, I don't actually want to go straight into like straight into work. Like I want to have some time to do what I want to do, because if I go in early and I start just 9 to 5 work, where's my out? Like you can't sort of just get deep in your career and then decide you want to go traveling and then come back to it and it's going to be all pristine waiting for you. So I want to
Yeah,
make sure that I don't sort of squander that opportunity that I have right now.
yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
Spence, what do you think?
that's my mindset. I think that's why I'm not jumping into like a 9 to 5. Like if I really want to right now, I've had accounting offers, I've had like 9 to 5 job offers. But the thing that just puts me off is just being, like you said, like stuck in that sort of ladder in a way where you work your way up. And to me, that's just not appealing because, like, for me, I just feel like I'm so young that I feel like I'll be wasting my years in a way because well, my whole week is just, I'm basically working for someone else, making them more money, whereas I could be like testing out new things or like living my life in a way and experiencing stuff, trying to like build up my character, build up my experience as a human at a younger age, just so
Yeah.
like when I hit, let's say like in 5 years time, I've become like more wiser and more adept in like adapting in different environments and stuff. I think
Mm,
my main goal at the moment is just I'm not worried about sort of working away like that. Just I'm not a fan of the 9 to 5 at the moment. It creates like too much structure for me at the moment. It's almost like if I want a 9 to 5, I'd have to have like a kid, family, or something like that. Because then
yeah,
obviously you can't really travel as much. You're stuck down. You got
Yeah.
responsibilities now. So where like we talked about this before, where we don't really have a lot of responsibilities. So take advantage of that basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Are you gonna focus on your like entrepreneurial stuff then, or would you want to go traveling?
Oh yeah, I'll just a bit both. I can. The beauty of it is though, like you can just do it while traveling. Like just
Yeah,
the opportunities are there. It's just like taking them, like
that's
making the
true.
most of them. Um,
I have an example actually. So my friend last year, I think her grandma died and she inherited £50,000. And I
Wow.
was like, oh, what are you gonna do with that? And I was thinking, what would I do with that? And I was just thinking, oh my god, I could travel so much. Like I could go to all these places I've always wanted to go to, and not sort of freak out about money, whatever. And she was like, oh, I'm gonna put it as a deposit for a house. And honestly, I could think of nothing worse.
yeah, I
No
would.
offense to her, obviously, you know, she wants to do that, that's fine. But I would just use it to just travel and obviously maybe invest in something, but not a house. That's too much of a responsibility.
Yeah, I think houses. Yeah, especially like you said, that's another responsibility. You own that property. Let's say you're not there for like you want to go traveling. You're not there for 3 months. Like what's gonna happen to it? You know. So I agree with you. That investment's a bit debatable.
Yeah. But also once she attacked me slightly when I mentioned something about traveling and she was like, yeah, well, I said something about her working a 9 to 5 job compared to me traveling, and she was like, yeah, well, in a couple of years' time, I'll be your boss or something like that. So she has a kind of mindset where it's more focused on her job and like I guess a traditional way of life with working loads and then saving up and then getting a house compared to
Yeah,
me who's like I just want to do what I want and not have too many responsibilities or like things holding me down.
definitely a conflict interest there. Like she's
Yeah,
obviously interested in building up a career and sort of working towards that, safety and having an income and being stable. But then the other side of the coin is like literally just looking for happiness, like trying to enjoy stuff and explore stuff and find time for learning new things and seeing new places, which is, two very, very different sides of a coin.
hmm,
Yeah, I completely agree. I think my mindset is I value happiness more than money. So for me, if I'm not happy, like in a job, I'm not working. It's simple as I'll quit. I value my
yeah,
happiness more just
the
because of
same.
what I've been through. So I just think like the experience I've had, and then my view on the world has just been all pushed into like make sure you're happy before anything else. So that's sort of my mindset on things. But it's awesome to see how like humans all have different sort of mindsets. Like you said, your friends loving the 9 to 5, like working hard to get up the ladder, whereas other people don't view that at all. They don't just want to chill, do whatever they want.
Mm,
You know, just I think that's the beauty of like the world. You can just do what you want. That's the freedom to a
Yeah,
certain
yeah, for
extent,
sure.
obviously. To a certain extent, because obviously
um,
yeah, money comes involved and stuff.
true. Spence, you said we were closing at 10. Is that still the case?
Yep, yeah. Well, unless you have any, we
Yeah.
happily add any
I
final
have
points.
one thing to add. Do you remember when you asked me advice on traveling and I kind of stumbled?
Yeah,
I thought of one. Is to have a very open mind because you'll meet like so many different people and have so many different experiences. Um, and so it's very important to kind of have an open mind because you'll come across very different people and different lifestyles and you kind of like have to adapt to them. So that's very important. It's my
awesome.
advice.
Fair enough.
That's a pretty good thing to take in, to be fair. I feel like it's like the same thing that we talked about earlier, like stepping outside your comfort zone. There's no good like spending all that money going traveling, going to places and meeting people if you're not open to sort of accepting how they see the world or accepting other views from your own. Like
Yeah,
if you're going to be
exactly.
open, you might as well be fully open.
Yep,
True.
completely agree with that.
Mm.
Yeah, awesome. I've enjoyed this one actually. I feel like I
Yeah,
gained a bit of knowledge from this.
mate, it's genuinely made me reevaluate what I want to do in my life. I'm thinking like, do I actually want to just go and travel for a few years now? Do I want to
But that
bin off the job?
yeah, but the thing is, the beauty of it is you can still do that job, and then like you said, after you finish uni, you don't have to go straight into it. Like yeah, they offer you a
Yeah,
job,
yeah,
so
yeah.
you've
That's
got
what I
that
mean. Like,
you got that qualification, haven't you? Then you can do what you want. There's no
yeah,
like
exactly.
rush.
Yeah, I've got like it's just making me think now. I'm building up like a mental list of all these places that I can go and the
Yeah,
plans, like
but that's
going
perfect. Yeah,
doing a work visa, like what Laura's done. Just sounds pretty ideal. Like having a long time to sort of explore these different places.
Yeah, that's why you gotta view it as like don't rush into things. Like you're only 20, you have times 4 years left.
Yeah,
Like
you have lots of time.
let's say like you live
Like
to 80,
I
you've
went,
got so many years left.
I went to Oz when I was 22, so
Yeah.
I was a bit older than you even. So
Yeah. So
I mean, I
And
know
I-
someone who's 29, I think, and he's there at the moment. You can literally just
Yeah,
yeah. See, it's sick.
whenever
Like,
you want.
there's no ticking time bomb on it.
yeah.
I've got
Everyone's on their own timelines, bro. You just gotta remember that.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
everyone's on their own little wave.
Little wave.
Little
yeah,
wave. You just gotta
that's it.
find, just
I
find
like
your little
that.
wave and just go along.
Perfect, man. Yeah, ride the wave.
Yeah. Any last points at all?
Nah. Very, very
No.
mind-opening
Awesome.
talk, actually.
But these are quite fun. Can I be on another one, please? If
Yeah,
it's
no, of
not
course,
bad.
yeah. We've got a couple guests lined up, but then just hit the DMs.
Wait,
we'll
who's the
talk about
next
topic.
one?
Theo, the next one is Life After Death. That's
Oh,
gonna be a
is
good
it?
one. Yeah,
Oh, I
yeah,
love
yeah.
that. Yes, I
God.
actually love it.
We'll have Theo on for that one. Theo will be joining us, hopefully. His internet is fixed.
Gonna get really deep, Spence.
It's going to get deep. I
Think
think we
there's
can bring up
something-
some nice sort of theories. I think it's going to be a good mind-boggling one. Might have to get a bit drunk for that one.
Wait, do you reckon?
Nah, just have like a
Wait,
beer.
we're doing a drink. We're doing have a couple beers.
I reckon.
yeah.
I reckon we'll do one where like it's talking about like something beer related or like alcohol related.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, yeah.
A
We'll save
podcast
it for a good one.
Based on alcohol.
We'll do like a drunk podcast.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
I'm up
that's
for
good.
that.
That's perfect.
Mate, when in isolation, you know.
Yeah,
you gotta be-
exactly.
keep yourself busy.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, thank you both for coming on. Been fun.
All good.
Enjoy your
Thank
Thursday
you for having
evenings.
All
I'm
right,
gonna
cheers.
No worries. See you
Yeah, I
later.
think I like. Yeah, all right. See you later, mate. Bye.
See you later.